everyone. Please be seated. My name is Aaron Schoonover, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the Class of 2007 Baccalaureate ceremony. I'm not a big believer in corny speeches and cliché sayings like, "It seems like just yesterday," and "This isn't the end, it's only the beginning." But when I sat down to write this speech, nothing else seemed appropriate to say tonight, because it really does feel like just yesterday that we were here at Wadsworth High School, the freshmen, walking down the hallways, not knowing where we were going, scared of the upperclassmen, and I just can't get over the fact that we're seniors. I remember being freshmen, the seniors seem so old, and I just don't feel that old. And that makes me wonder about the future, because sitting here now, 50 years old, seems so old. But, sorry. But when we get there, I wonder if I feel like I've changed or if I've even gotten older. I guess I've just always thought that getting older meant knowing more and feeling more comfortable about the future. But as we're about to head off to college and make something of our lives, I've realized that nothing is known for sure. No one, no matter how old they are, has all the answers. Granted that people can learn from their mistakes, I don't think anyone will ever feel comfortable with the feeling of change. And that's why, even though this is one of the most exciting times of our lives, it's also one of the scariest. I just remember back in elementary school, we'd get our report cards, and in the bottom corner, there'd be the homeroom teacher for next year. And I remember the pandemonium that broke loose and mad chaos as everyone ran from classroom to classroom to see if their friends were in their class next year. And here we are about to head off to college. Some of us don't even know anyone at the college we're going to, and it's scary. And as I was writing this speech, my younger brother, Kellen, who's 3, he was bawling his eyes out because my parents had left to go to the store. But after about 10 minutes of being upset, he went back to being his normal self. So from a young age, we've been scared of things and scared of change and leaving things behind. But as humans, we can adapt to change and new surroundings. So even though we're getting older and heading off to new and exciting places, I'm sure that everyone will quickly adapt to life after high school. Before long, it'll just be a way of life. But there will always be that part inside of us that misses our younger years here at Wadsworth, and there will always be that part inside of us that's scared to death of the future. But I guess I just can't believe that we're here tonight, and in 2 days we'll be done with high school, and school in general, elementary school at least. However, say with me, this isn't the end, it's just the beginning. Thank you.
Good evening. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce the author of the senior class poem, which can be found on the back of your program, Shannon Maher.
As one journey ends, another is only beginning. A journey into the world, a world completely open to you. Your hopes and dreams are all you have to guide you. They will steer you in all different directions. The road taken by most, the road less traveled, each lead to a different place, each lead to a different you. At times, the road will be difficult. At times, the road will seem impossible. At times, you may want to turn back. Turn back and give up. Give up on your hopes and dreams. But you must keep going, because if you don't, you will miss the many adventures that are waiting for you. Adventures that are unpredictable, adventures that will take you to places you never knew existed, adventures that will show you a person you never knew you were, the adventures of your life. The road is only yours to follow. Family and friends must be left behind. However, they will always be there to pick you up when you've fallen, to put you back on your way, to achieving your hopes and dreams. They will always be there, hoping, praying, and guiding you as you find your way, a way that only you can find. This is the beginning of your journey, the journey leading to the rest of your life. Do with it what you may, make it memorable, give it your all. Someday, the pain, and the struggle, and the frustration won't matter anymore. All that will matter will be how you got there and the people that helped you along. And in the end, you can look back and see where your road began. Within these very walls begins your journey. It is up to you where the road will lead.
Troubles come and my heart burden be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. Restless heart beats so imperfectly, but when you come and I am filled with wonder, sometimes I think I glimpse eternity. raise me up to more than I can be. Raise me up to more than I can be.
Finding one of her students making faces at others on the playground, Mrs. Smith stopped to gently reprove the child. Smiling sweetly, the schoolteacher said, "Bobby, when I was a child, I was told that if I made ugly faces, it would freeze and I would stay like that forever." Bobby looked up and replied, "Well, Mrs. Smith, you can't say you weren't warned." Now, before you worry about me in this black robe and the heat, there is liquid nitrogen circling all over me. Graduating seniors, parents, family, and friends, alumni of the class of 1957, administration and faculty, it is my honor to stand before you this evening and deliver the 2007 Baccalaureate address. This year is very significant in our household. This year, not only is our oldest child graduating, but my older brother is celebrating his 25th class reunion and my father his 50th class reunion. With such a connection in my own family to this event, it is a solemn duty to try and offer words that will somehow sum up the last 13 years and yet look forward to the future. Mr. Williams gave me a DVD of a prior baccalaureate, and that, coupled with memories of graduations I have been a part of and attended, gave me starting points for this evening's address. These past experiences had led me to believe that the one giving the address can either share a nostalgic look at the memories you as a graduating class share, or I can look to the future and the many challenges you will face. I pray you will allow me to go in a slightly different direction than these two this evening. As a parent, I have done a good deal of traveling down memory lane this past year as I have contemplated my first attendance at a graduation as a parent. And I promise you, graduates, that you too will recall the past this week as family and friends gather. You too will have at least one aunt who will pinch your cheek and say, "I remember when." There will also be those you will see this week who will slap you on the back and challenge you to learn all that you can and get that great job, work for those important promotions, and climb the ladder of success. These two scenarios are fine, but I want to offer you a slightly different thought to ponder this evening. To state it simply, I want you to live life, to figure out the necessities of life and live it. Recently, I read a small book that for me has had a profound effect. Terry Hershey wrote a book called Sacred Necessities. To be sure, the years ahead will be busy and full of activity. But my fear is that busyness in our society has become an end of itself. Maybe we have convinced ourselves that our self-worth is derived from how busy we are. Terry Hershey in the book states, it's not just the pell-mell pacing. We are all aware that hectic comes with the turf. What ties us into knots is the implication that such a pace implies importance, that people who have daytimers full of appointments, reminders, and checklists deserve our jealousy and admiration. It all seems linked to some primitive fear of what we will become without that full schedule and the requisite array of distractions. What will we have to call on for affirmation? Will we be admired or ridiculed? On the flip side, there is the implication that wasting time is the worst possible indictment of our personhood. In the movie Joe versus the Volcano, Tom Hanks plays Joe, who has erroneously been diagnosed with a terminal disease. Since he is to die anyways, he's asked to go on a pilgrimage to become a human sacrifice for the appeasement of a volcanic god on a small South Sea island. His existence to this point has been one where he has a job he hates, stuck in a small, drab, gray cubicle, completing the same meaningless routine day in and day out. He wholeheartedly takes his meaningless routine to heart, and day in and day out he works at it. He takes on the duty of this sacrificial task, and throughout the movie we see that Joe wakes up to life. While watching the moon rise above the ocean horizon, Joe sums up his transformation. Most people go through life asleep, but the ones who are awake live in constant and total amazement. My prayer for you is that you find a way to live in constant and total amazement. Whether you're going to college or a trade school, working at a new job, or entering the military, I pray you find ways to enjoy the journey of life as a journey and not as a destination. My young friends, please do not wait to start enjoying life. Don't think there's some hurdle out there that once you get over, you can say, I will be happy now. There are hurdles out there. In fact, there are many hurdles out there. But you don't have to wait to get over them to be happy. Hershey tells a rather lengthy story in his book about himself and his struggle with writer's block. A fellow writer inquires about his writing, and Hershey admits it's not going well. His friend gasps, as if to say, how can you live another day? Above all else, his friend's silent indictment is that he's wasting time. And his friend begins to feel bad. Hershey says, not only was I wasting time, but I'm ruining someone else's day. I never knew I had that kind of power. Be assured that the future will have this dynamic. We as a society are bent on getting ahead, have been able to convince ourselves that we will live life after we're happy. After we're happy, is it too much to expect that we can be happy on the road of life? That we can stop? That we can see, really see, that we can slow down to appreciate the world God has created for us? It is something that we not only can, but we must do now, not after some time when we think we're going to be happy. Each afternoon, the son of a famous rabbi would return home from school, put his backpack on the dining room table, and leave the house through the kitchen door, and the young boy would run into the wooded area not far away, and he spent 30 minutes, give or take, every school day afternoon in the woodland. His father knew of his son's peculiar habit, but he said nothing. After a matter of weeks, however, the rabbi grew concerned. Is my son up to mischief? He wondered. So he decided to broach the subject. Tell me, son, he asked one afternoon after his son returned from his woodland visit, why do you spend each afternoon in the woodland? What are you doing out there? Papa, the boy replied, don't worry. I go to the woodland every day. It is my special space because there I can talk with God. Oh, the father visibly relieved. I'm glad to hear it, he said, but you, the son of a rabbi, should know that God is the same everywhere. Yes, Papa, I know that. God is the same everywhere, but I am not. You will be challenged in the years ahead to be different, to stretch and grow. Some of these challenges will be very good for you, and some will not be so good for you. But remember that the God who created you and in whom you live and move and have your being will watch over you. Foster that inner peace that can be a place to retreat when the pressures mount. In Marcia Falk's poem, Will, she states, 3 generations back, my family had only to light a candle and the world parted. Today, Friday afternoon, I disconnect clocks and phones. When night fills my house with passages, I begin saving my life. I would love for you to begin saving your life here and now, saving it from the pell-mell pace, the faceless other out there whom you will be challenged to keep up with. The systems that force you to choose between working more to get ahead or rendering a vital service to your fellow human being in a job that you enjoy. Some will suggest to you that it will be about keeping score. They'll say there is some game of life out there where you can compete for a high score. It is as if we can measure time and thereby our importance in life by some factor that will give us a numerical score. But what if it were different? What if you were asked about measuring time? In recent times, this particular lesson has been taught again on the Broadway stage by the cast of Rent. Jonathan Larson won the Pulitzer Prize in Drama for the musical Rent. It is a retelling of the story of the opera La Bohème. It's based upon a gang of friends and their bohemian life they lead. The lyrics of the opening song, Seasons of Love, challenge us to consider what is important in life and how do we measure what is important. 525,600 minutes, 525,000 moments so dear. 525,600 minutes, how do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, in laughter, in strife. In 525,600 minutes, how do you measure a year in the life? Well, how do you? And the greatest thing about this song is that in a sublimely wonderful way, it answers its own question. How do you measure a year in the life? The cast continues, how about love? How about love? How about love? Measure in love seasons of love. Now, I'm only a musician at heart and can only count to 4. I'm not AP level. But if I calculated right, in 13 years of school, you have passed through 6,832,800 minutes. 4 more years of college will be an additional 2,102,400 minutes. How will you measure them? My prayer is that by living life, live the journey, that you can measure them in love. And speaking of love, in a few moments, students, you will be sharing signs of love with those who got you to this day. A journey that started on that first day of kindergarten to this moment. Well, I said I wasn't going to go down memory lane. I did want to share with you something that I have been holding on to for 13 years. This poem on this sheet of paper my daughter brought home after her first day of kindergarten. Now I pray I can get through it. It's entitled First Day of Kindergarten. I used to be little, but not anymore. Tomorrow I'll get up and walk out the door. I'm going to kindergarten. It's the first time for me. It's great to be big, but I'm scared as can be. My tummy's in knots. You want to know why? I'm thinking that maybe, just maybe, I'll cry. When Dad leaves the school and I'm there alone, I'm thinking that maybe I'll want to go home. But wait, Mommy said I'll play lots of games and meet lots of friends. I can learn all their names. The first day of kindergarten, oh, there's so much to do. There's painting and books and a big playground too. I used to be little, but not anymore. Tomorrow I'll get up and walk out the door. I'm going to kindergarten. It's my first day, you see. It's great to be big. I'm so glad that I'm me. Be glad to be you. Try your best not to keep up with that imaginary other person out there. Maybe the words of one of the great theologians of our time, George Carlin, can help us. Carlin talks about our preoccupation with stuff. We have stuff with us when we go places. We buy more stuff and we bring it home. And to appease our guilt, we set up tables in the front of our house every summer and sell our stuff to our neighbors. And we walk around the neighborhood and buy their stuff at a bargain. We buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like. It's time we ended our preoccupation with stuff. And my prayer is that you will carve out an existence that will not allow stuff to get in your way. Mary Sarton, the American poet, was asked several times what she wanted to be when she grew up. And she would reply, human. I hope that I will be human. There's a story told about an American traveler who planned a long safari in Africa. He was a compulsive man loaded down with maps and timetables and agendas. Local men in Africa were engaged to carry the cumbersome load of supplies, luggage, and stuff. On the first morning, they all woke up very early and traveled very fast and went very far. On the second morning, they all woke up very early and traveled very fast and went very far. On the third day, the same thing took place, and the Americans seemed very pleased. On the fourth morning, the jungle tribesmen refused to move. They simply sat by a tree. The American became incensed. This is a waste of valuable time. Can someone tell me what's going on here? The translator answered, they're waiting for their souls to catch up with their bodies. Don't live the life ahead at breakneck speed. Allow your bodies and your souls to travel at the same rate. No one ever got to the end of their life and said, I wish I would have worked more. It's not about keeping score. Let's give the scorekeepers the day off. Heck, let's give them the rest of our lives off. My friends, in this pell-mell pace of society, we so easily allow ourselves to be rewired. But we have to rewrite our codes. We must allow ourselves the ability, even if we think it's a luxury, to reclaim living life now, not in some happy future. We need to rein in the pace of life so that we're able to see the amazing things God puts before us. Let us live as Volcano Joe has learned to, with a constant sense of the amazement of life. Elizabeth Barrett Browning once said that all of earth is aflame, but only those who see it take off their shoes. In probably the finest line from the entire Sacred Necessities book, Hershey states, what we need is not a primer on how to live life, but the permission to experience, to give into, to give up control. What is at stake here is not merely doing or acting or even changing, but being acted upon or being done unto, allowing one to be on the receiving end of some cosmic giveaway. Life is here, not out there. Live it now and live it to its fullest. Amen.
At this time, we would like to begin the flower dedication ceremony. These flowers are given to show our respect and appreciation for the people who taught us patiently and loved us unconditionally. Following our example, we will begin to pass these flowers out. Please wait until the row before you has exited their chairs. I brought it home.
And now for the benediction, in the words of some other great 20th century theologians. Parents, if you know it, please join in. Those great theologians of the 20th century, Simon and Garfunkel. Slow down, you move too fast. You got to make the morning last, just kicking down the cobblestones, looking for love and feeling groovy. Students, feel groovy. Live life, live it to the fullest, live it as a journey, not a destination. And may God bless and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.